Thomas Miller was doing mental math at 11 p.m. Rent was due in 4 days. He was still $80 short. If he picked up a weekend shift at the diner, he could cover it and maybe, just maybe, afford Sarah's inhaler refill. His 7-year-old daughter was asleep on a neighbor's sofa right then, her breathing slightly wheezy in the dry apartment air. He hated leaving her there. But a single father with a bad knee and only a high school diploma did not have the luxury of many choices. He dragged his mop across the 42nd floor of Apex Holdings and tried not to think about how exhausted he felt. Then the night manager stopped him in the locker room. Top floor needs a quick sweep. Boardroom bins. Don't touch the main office. Get in. Get out. The 50th floor felt like a completely different world. The carpet was thick and charcoal gray. The lighting was warm. The air smelled like leather, expensive furniture, and success. Thomas emptied the boardroom bins quickly and walked down the quiet hallway toward the last office. Evelyn Croft, Chief Executive Officer. The door was slightly open. A thin line of light shone from underneath. He paused. If he ignored a full trash bin, his pay could be reduced. If he interrupted something important, he would probably lose his job. He slowly pushed the door open. He expected an empty office. Instead, Evelyn Croft was standing only 10 feet away. She was not sitting behind her desk. She stood in the middle of the room, her silk blouse partly open, both hands twisted behind her back as she struggled with the clasps of a hard medical corset. The brace was made of thick canvas and metal supports wrapped tightly around her body. Under it, her ribs were covered with dark purple bruises. Thomas froze. Evelyn turned toward him. She did not scream. She simply looked at him with calm, cold eyes. Cornered, careful, calculating. "Get out," she said. Thomas did not argue. He turned around and ran. The next night changed everything. He spent the entire bus ride home convinced that his job was over. By morning, his security badge would probably stop working. By afternoon, he would be carrying his belongings out in a cardboard box. But the following night, his badge flashed green. Greg looked at him and simply pointed upward. 55th floor. "They're expecting you." Thomas stepped into the office once again. Evelyn Croft sat behind her glass desk as if nothing unusual had happened. Her face showed no emotion. She explained everything in a calm, professional voice. 4 months earlier, a helicopter crash had nearly killed her. 3 fractured vertebrae, 4 shattered ribs. The newspapers believed she had been enjoying a private retreat in Kyoto. The board of directors believed she had suffered only a minor skiing injury. Neither story was true. "If anyone discovers the real extent of my injuries," she said, "the shareholders will use the medical clause and remove me as CEO before Friday." Then she slid a thick folder across the desk. Thomas opened it. Inside was every detail of his life: his debts, his rent, his medical bills, his daughter's prescriptions, his late payments, everything. His face grew hot with anger. "You investigated me." "I needed to," Evelyn replied. Before he could answer, she continued, "I need someone I can trust. Someone who is discreet. Someone who needs this opportunity enough to remain silent. You will drive my car. You will carry my bags. You will stand quietly during meetings with my medication. And when my back gives out, you will help keep me standing so nobody notices." Thomas looked directly at her. "What's the catch?" "There isn't one. I'll pay you $3,000 every week. Full medical insurance for you, and full medical insurance for your daughter. Starting today." The number struck him harder than any bad news ever had. $3,000 every week. That was more than 3 months of his janitor's salary. That meant a better apartment, regular medical appointments, specialists, prescription medicine. A future he had almost stopped believing was possible. He looked at Evelyn. "When do I start?" From janitor to trusted assistant. Everything changed almost overnight. On Wednesday, Thomas was cleaning office floors with a mop. By Friday, he was standing beside a black armored SUV, wearing a tailored suit worth more than his old car. Working with Evelyn was never easy. She demanded perfection. She expected complete professionalism. She rarely accepted excuses. Thomas never tried to impress her. He spoke honestly, sometimes too honestly. They argued often. Neither of them backed down. But slowly, Thomas learned to recognize the small signs nobody else noticed. The way her fingers turned white while gripping the edge of a conference table. The slight pause before every painful step. The quiet change in her voice when the pain became unbearable. He knew exactly when she needed medication. He knew exactly when she simply needed another person standing close enough to catch her if she collapsed. The moment, everything between them changed. The real change came during the third week. After a long 4-hour business dinner, Evelyn reached the entrance of her penthouse. Suddenly, her legs gave out. Thomas reacted before she hit the floor. He caught her safely. Without saying a word, he carried her upstairs to the bedroom. He knelt beside her and carefully worked on the stubborn clasp of the medical brace that had been pressing painfully into her broken ribs for hours. The buckle refused to move. Finally, after several careful attempts, it released. Evelyn closed her eyes. She leaned her forehead gently against Thomas's shoulder. Neither of them spoke. Thomas remained perfectly still. He simply allowed her a quiet moment to breathe. Several minutes later, she slowly leaned back. As Thomas stood up, something slipped from his pocket. A folded piece of paper. Evelyn picked it up. It was a simple crayon drawing. A tall man wearing blue clothes. A smiling little girl holding a green balloon. She looked at it quietly. Is the insurance paying for her treatment? Thomas smiled. She received the better inhalers on Monday. He paused. She hasn't wheezed in 3 days. For several long seconds, Evelyn simply looked at him. Then she spoke softly. Take Sunday off. Spend the day with your daughter. Take her to the park. 6 months later. 6 months passed. The medical brace was finally gone. Evelyn's recovery had improved beyond what many doctors expected. The company merger had successfully closed. Thomas no longer carried a mop. He had an office on the 49th floor. He had a respected title. Nobody questioned why he was there. On a bright Friday afternoon, Thomas drove Sarah home in a reliable family sedan. She laughed happily in the back seat while talking nonstop about dinosaurs. Most importantly, her breathing was easy. Her smile was constant. His phone buzzed inside the cup holder. A new message appeared. Take her for ice cream. Use the corporate card. E. Thomas laughed. Not a polite laugh. Not a nervous laugh. A real laugh. The kind that came from deep inside after years of carrying too much weight. He tossed the phone onto the passenger seat. He turned on the radio. As he drove through the city streets, everything looked different. The buildings no longer felt so cold. The future no longer felt so impossible. For the first time in many years, Thomas Miller truly believed that life could get better.